Well, hello. Hello out there. How you guys doing? It is the Jer Bear. Thanks for stopping by. Today's date is Sunday, January 17th, 2021. I want to thank my buddy Juan for stopping by, Joe, um, Robbie, and hey, for you, I want to thank you for stopping by and checking out the Sunday video update. And before I get to anything else, can we please wish America's Golden Girl, Betty White, a very happy 99th birthday today? Isn't she amazing? I love Betty White. Anyway, we are live on YouTube. I am the Jerry Bear. Thanks for stopping by. There's a little bit of stuff to get to in this week's Sunday video update. My week was pretty good. I was down in Lansing last night, decided to take a drive by the Capitol building, and the scene right now in Lansing is really heavily populated with supporters of you know who, which I can't give a name, I can't say because of I don't want to violate YouTube's community guidelines or anything, so I can't say the name, but you know who I'm talking about. Pro fill in the blank. They're having a rally protesting at Capitol building in Lansing right now. They're on the front lawn. Media everywhere. So far as I can tell, because I've been monitoring the situation in Lansing, everything is going okay. There's not any fights, no injuries, no fatalities. There's a lot of news media around, the Michigan State Police, the National Guard. It's all on hand. There's a Michigan State Police helicopter circling around Capitol building, just to make sure that everyone, behaves themselves and no fights break out or anything like that. But yeah, everything, as far as I can tell, is going good right now. And some people are being interviewed by reporters, both, locally from my area and the Lansing area. And I think they're coming out as far as Detroit and Grand Rapids. Because of course Lansing is the capital, so anything going on in Lansing at Capitol building or on the property, it's going to be news coverage for the entire state. So so far so good, and I'm sure it's the same way. I'm hoping anyway it's the same way at the other Capitol buildings in your state. And I hope people are, I hope they're on their best behavior. There's really not much I can say about that. I was going to go down to Lansing today and check it out, but I've been kind of watching people's live YouTube streams, and a couple of my friends actually were in violation of the guidelines of YouTube, and they had their live stream removed just like that. So I'm not going to be able to monitor the situation anymore, but I will be watching the local 6 o'clock news to find out what the situation is or what exactly happened. But like I said, last time I checked, so far so good. So hopefully it stays that way. Yeah, not a whole lot happening around here. I was at my cousin's house yesterday before I went to Lansing. I went up to Uncle Tim's and I visited with him and my cousin Matt. Finally, because it's after the first of the month, and Matt said, well, I don't feel comfortable with people coming around till after the first. We didn't really have that conversation. I just showed up and the kids were happy to see me. So yeah, works for me. So I got to do that. I went to visit with family, and I was in Lansing last night, of course. I was in Saginaw too yesterday. Dad had, he didn't have an appointment. He had to go to his doctor's office to pick up a prescription, and he wanted me to ride along with him, which I did. I didn't go in because only the patient can go in. I sat in the truck and I wrote in my journal. I did what's called a road list. I write down the names of the roads that we take and the roads we cross and all that good stuff. But yeah, it was nice just to get out with my dad yesterday, and we stopped at a couple of auto parts stores because he's looking for, what did he say, bolts, I think, to his drive shaft on a truck. I'm not very good with names. I'm not a mechanic. He knows more about that than I do. He's not here. Amy's in the bedroom. So I'm flying solo this week, but I rode with him to Saginaw and we came home and I think we had pizza. See, there's so much. Actually, no, I take that back. Did we? Yeah, we did have pizza yesterday. See, my mind is just everywhere. We did have pizza yesterday. We went to Hungry Howie's. It was after we left Uncle Tim's house. And then after I ate pizza, then I went to Lansing. That's what it was. I knew I'd get it right eventually. But anyway, yeah, yesterday was a very busy day. So we got 4 people watching. Hello, 4 people. Yeah, it was a great day. My week was really good. I talked to my mom for a little bit in a text message. I visited with my brother. Both my brothers actually. Jay was here yesterday. My brother Wayne and his girlfriend Nora were out here last week, I believe. So it was nice. I had a very good week. It was a really good week. And I do apologize if the audio during the streaming, I apologize if it cuts in and out. For some reason, my streaming, my bandwidth is not the greatest. I don't know why. I don't know what's up with that. I go through CenturyLink, so that should tell you plenty. And I do apologize if the lighting isn't the greatest. Excuse me. I can only see what I'm seeing now. And it doesn't look very bright on my end. Maybe it looks bright on your end. Maybe one of you will text me and say, hey, you look pretty fine on my end and you sound okay on my end. I mean, there's 4 of you, 3 of you watching. I mean, someone's got to know something, right? But I actually was going to go to Lansing to, sort of brave the elements and see what was going on. And I was going to take my GoPro camera down there and get some footage. But I don't know. It's looking like a madhouse down there. Not in a bad way. It's just that there's large crowds of people, and I don't want to get lost in the mix. And there's free parking in the city of Lansing. I don't know how true that is. I don't want to get all the way down there and find out, oh, got to pay. Which I don't mind paying if I have to pay to park. I don't mind doing that, but I don't want to go down there empty-handed. It's one of those things. I mean, I support protests if you're going to do it peacefully, if you're going to be violent, and if you're going to be an arrogant jackass with an agenda and you want to go on and hurt everybody and kill innocent people, then you're a prick and you shouldn't be doing any of that stuff. But if you're going to a protest just to observe, or if you have an opinion, that's fine. Everybody is entitled to an opinion. Me, if I went down there, I wouldn't have any opinions. I would just be observing. Like I said, I'd have my GoPro camera. And the GoPro camera is actually really nice. It's a nice camera. Everybody have a camera. Because for most of you who don't know, every once in a while, I'll do a cop watch. And I like to video the police and just kind of, test the waters a little bit and see what's going on, which, by the way, is perfectly legal. I know there's a lot of question about that. Well, are you allowed to film the police? Absolutely. You are allowed to film the police. And if any cop in particular tells you you can't film me, well, guess what? Yes, you can. It's within the rights of the Constitution. It's called free press, freedom of, because we're all the press. I mean, if you have a camera and if you're standing on a sidewalk, which is public access, anywhere where you're allowed to be legally public access, you can film anything your eyes can see because there's no such law as trespassing your eyeballs. That doesn't exist. So if you're on a sidewalk or if you're, in an area where you are allowed to be legally and it's public access, you can film anything your eyes can see. It's not against the law. And yeah, you're going to have people who are apprehensive about that. Well, I just don't want to be filmed and I just don't like to be on camera. So then go home and close the drapes. I mean, this is legally protected activity by the Constitution. I'm allowed to do this, Your feelings don't trump my rights to do what I'm allowed to do legally. So that's kind of how that works. I do on occasion, I will film the police just for my own, for my own little archives or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But I like to film the cops every so often and just kind of go back and rewatch what I recorded. And, it's just something to do. It's not anything creepy or illegal. I can do it. You can do it. There's no law that says you can't. You can't go you can't go on private property and film. But if you're on a sidewalk, if you're on a roadway, you can definitely film anything your eyes can see. So, it's like, well, I don't want you filming my license plate number. It's public information. You can film license plates. It's public. Anything that's public, you can film. And if anybody takes an issue with that, tell them to look it up, do their homework, check out the, what your rights are, the Constitution, look into that stuff and educate yourself a little bit. But there are people out there, like First Amendment auditors is what they're called. There are people out there who will, in fact, instigate a fight with the cops, or they'll just say shit to the cops just to pick a fight, to get an argument started. That's not what I do. If I have a question, I would like to ask a law enforcement officer a question and, ask them to identify themselves with names and badge numbers. And because by law, they're required to give it. Not all of them do. They want to, make a big deal about that. Well, I don't have to identify myself. Well, actually, legally, you do. That's the law. Because I'm a member of the public, and when the public asks you, when you're in the official capacity of your duties in uniform, when someone like myself, when we ask you to identify yourself, legally, you're supposed to do that. That's written in the policy and it's the law. So anytime a cop refuses to identify themselves, you don't have to talk to them, and that's how that works. A lot of people aren't educated on their rights or what the laws are. I don't know. That's what they depend on. I'm not saying cops are bad. There's a lot of good cops out there. They know what the law is. They took an oath to the Constitution. They know what our rights are as citizens. They know what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. So not all cops are bad. But what I will say, there are some prick cops out there. And if two cops, one cop is doing something that they shouldn't be doing, that's a bad cop. If the other cop is allowing it to happen and doesn't step in to say, hey, what you're doing is wrong, you're not allowed to do that, and it's wrong what you're doing, if that other cop isn't intervening, that cop is no different or better than the cop who's doing the shit they're not supposed to be doing. Because good cops don't let other cops do bad shit. So, and I'm getting a little carried away, I know, but it's just something to think about. It's something to chew on. And, know what your rights are. Don't let cops push you around. Don't be bullied. I don't want to eliminate the police. I'm not one of these defund the police kind of guys. I am someone who is about police reform. We do need to reform the police force because there's a lot of guys who are in uniform. They wear that badge and they don't deserve it. They abuse their power. I'm not saying all cops do it, but there are cops out there, dirty cops who will, at any advantage, they will bully you, they will harass you, and they will intimidate you because they wear a badge and they think they can get away with doing shit that is not lawful. And they think they can treat people disgustingly, and you can't let them get away with that. And that's just, speaking from experience, I've actually put cops on the spot a few times because they wanted to, they wanted to intimidate and lord their qualified immunity over me. And they found out otherwise. You mistaken me for someone who gives a shit, buddy, because I know what my rights are. I know what the laws are. And if you're violating my rights, you're going to pay for that. So I'm not one to mess with either. And so there's that. And I don't have a problem humiliating the police. I have nothing to hide. You want to mess with me? You come to the right place. But I'm not looking to stir up trouble or kick dirt in anyone's face. If I'm asking a question, an honest question to the police, and even if I have my camera with me, I mean, there should be absolutely no reason why a cop would be upset about being filmed. They have body cams. They're filming us all the time, all the time. But I'm kind of ranting here about the police. Not all cops are bad, and we can't blanket cops. We can't treat all cops like they are potential bad guys, because not all cops are bad. There are lots of good cops out there, and I give them all the credibility that any cop should be deserving of. Because if they're actually doing their job, then you should be giving them the credibility and the praise for doing a good job. But a lot of cops have egos too. So that's something else you have to watch out for. But anyway, enough of the police. Because, now, Jared, the cops are going to show up at your house. Let them. What are they going to show up here for? But anyway, everything here is going pretty good. Dad's doing okay. Amy, she's doing okay. I've been doing pretty good. I had written a poem. You guys probably watched my poem video, probably freaked some people out, just because of the words and the imagery that I used in the video. I wanted it to be shocking, like, oh, Jared took a dark turn with his poetry. It's poetry, it's self-expression. I had written a poem called Knife, which I hope you had a chance to check out. It's, when I wrote that poem, and it was on, I think January 8th was when I'd written the poem, and I just got around to editing and putting the video together. When I wrote the poem, I did have that inclination, like, fuck, I'm going to write this poem a certain way, and these people are going to flip the fuck out. I haven't received any feedback on the poem yet. I don't know if it's a good poem, if it's a freaky poem. Well, I know it could be a potentially freaky poem because of some of the words I had written in it. But again, it's just a poem. I mean, it's not. People can either take it literally, which most likely they probably will, or they probably have. But it's just a poem. I mean, words are just words. I had written a piece in the poem, something about, will I be standing on your front lawn, or will I give your door a knock? I wanted it to have that shock. I wanted it to have that kind of, like, oh, he went to a dark place with his poetry, but it's a good kind of a dark, it's something different. I don't write poems like that all the time. All my poems are usually pretty good, and they tell a story, and they're usually pretty clean for the most part. But, I'm not looking to harm anybody. I'm not looking to actually stand on someone's lawn or get a knock on the door. I'm not looking to do any of that. It's just a poem. But if anything, I'll probably have the cops showing up at my house. Well, why are you writing creepy poetry? Because I fucking can. Because I can, and because I did. Get over yourself. That's what I say. Get over yourself. There's, I've written a lot of poetry, even like for the Cancer Warriors, for kids who are fighting cancer. And there's one person in particular who made such a big stink about it, because everything to him, whenever you see the word love or bed, as in hospital bed, they immediately think pedophilia, because their brains go to that. And it's like, you are a fucking lunatic motherfucker, and I called him out on it too. So, I've written poetry for probably close to 30 years, because I was writing poetry when I was really, really little, when I was young. I didn't, use big words, because I was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 at the time when I started writing down little riddles and stuff. Like I knew how to rhyme words, but I wasn't particularly great at it because I was only just a kid. So it was all brand new to me. It was kind of fresh in my mind. And my biggest influences as a kid was country music. I used to listen to Clint Black, Vince Gill, Dwight Yoakam, Brooks and Dunn, all the good, there's a lot of good country music superstars from back in the day when I was growing up. And it influenced me to want to write like poems or songs or something. I mean, I'm not a songwriter, but I can write poetry. Oh, my nose itches. And then I think through the years, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I think over the years, I got pretty good at it. I would say that my poetry is a bit exceptional. I mean, I don't write really, scary poems like the poem I'd written called Knife. That's probably like the first time I just got free with my expression. And what it was just me coming out. It was my way of saying, I've been stabbed in the back one too many fucking times. I've been strong for far too long. Now I've had enough. And I'm under a lot of stress. And, I've had enough. I've just had enough of people stabbing me in the fucking back. And that was me coming out in my own expressive ways, expressing myself and saying, I've had enough. And I did it poetically and artistically, I might add. And I know there's a lot of people who criticize and they critique my poetry, and they like to twist words, and they like to add their own flavor and context and try to get me to say something I never said. But it's like, I know what I said, and I know what I meant, and I know what I fucking wrote. And, you're not going to try to get me to say any differently. And that's that. Why don't you go and write a poem or go do something creative and productive in your life and stop worrying about what the fuck I'm doing? Which would also be, it would be a great alternative if people would get their own lives and not be so focused on what I'm doing or what I'm saying. I'm just trying to live my life and not bother anybody. I mean, I've actually, if you can believe this, I've actually cut back on emailing people or texting anybody because of the fact that, the friendship thing kind of goes both ways. It's a two-way street. And I know that people are busy. They have families and lives of their own. But that time you spend, or should I say waste, on Facebook, you could probably text me or email me, and I would be more than happy to reply to your emails and texts. Always. I mean, one friend, I'm not going to say any names, but one friend said that she was getting sick and tired of Facebook because of all the shit that went on in the nation's capital with the rioting and everything. And she says, after what I saw on Facebook on Wednesday, that's what did me in. Now, I don't know if she's still on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know. I have no clue. But I'm not going to mention any names because, she's my friend, and out of respect for her, I'm not going to throw a name out there. But she told me that after Wednesday, after all the shit that went on, that she was done with Facebook because of the hatred. There's so much hatred on social media, which is why I'm so glad I don't have to be there to see it anymore. It is a fucking joke. It's a rat race. It is, it's not somewhere I want to be. Facebook was the root cause of most of my stress, my anxiety, and my depression. And to be quite frank, I am glad that I am not on there anymore. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And, I had even written a kind of a lengthy email to one of my friends, and I said, I loved advocating. I love getting involved, like with the childhood cancer thing. But I started to see the direction it had taken, and it's a fucking joke. And there's a lot of people who don't necessarily agree with that, and I don't necessarily give a fuck. If you look at it, because the evidence kind of speaks for itself. If you go on Facebook and if you look at childhood cancer advocacy, these people are doing shit for themselves. They're not doing it for anybody. They're not doing it for anybody else. Oh, I paid someone's mortgage. Okay, cool. You're not changing the fucking world. You're not cracking a cure for childhood cancer. And even as a survivor, to be honest with you, I just got fed up with the shit show. The superficiality of being an advocate, I got to be on every front page newspaper, magazine, TV show, radio show, podcast. So you're doing this for you. Well, congratulations. You've made that adamantly clear. And I hope your dreams of rising to stardom had finally come true. Because I can tell you something, I know real people out there who really are stars. They are actors and actresses, and They're musicians. I know people who are actually doing real things, making themselves really, really known to the world, and they're not using sickness and human suffering as a platform for their popularity. It's always about who can do the most efficiently in an expeditious manner, who can get the most done the quickest, and who can look good in front of a camera. Because I'm telling you, the people, if you're one of these people who are involved in the childhood cancer world, I'm going to tell you something right now. These people put on a fucking good show. And when they know they're being watched, then they want to put on a smile and have this patronizing kind of, oh, it's so good to see you. Fuck you. I know how you are. Your behavior had demonstrated otherwise, and you don't impress me. I've grown up around people like that my entire life. I could smell you people coming a mile away. I know when someone's being fake. I had to build up on that being around people like that my whole life to actually know how people are when they're being fake and when they're actually being true. And it's like, you people are a fucking joke. You are unpaid actors. You're this good at acting. Why don't you put that to use and go do something useful instead of preying on people's weaknesses just so you can be seen and heard on TV and on the radio and a podcast? Good for you, And there's another element to that too. And it's one element that most people don't agree with me on either. And that is the fact that whatever happened to helping people secretly, like just, behind the scenes, whatever happened to actually helping people and not put everything you do on social media? Like, why can't you do something without the need for popularity and attention and notoriety? Why can't you do that? Why does everything you do in life have to be seen and heard? Do you think you're really that big of a deal? I doubt it. I doubt that you are. And the direction that the advocacy had taken was really unsettling to me. And it's like, I'm a childhood cancer survivor. I can still give a fuck about the people, but I don't care about looking good. I don't care about, trying to build an image for myself. I don't care about an image. I care about helping people. And the only reason I got involved was to show other people that they weren't alone. I've said this 1,000 times and I'll say it 1,000 times more. I did it for the people, not for the cause. And when I phrase it that way, they say, well, aren't the people the cause? No, the cause is when you want to get you develop this really strange fetish for gold ribbons and children who are bald. I mean, that's very unhealthy. You do what you do for the people, not for the cause, because the cause is the superficial side of things. There is a fine delineation between raising awareness to help the people versus raising awareness to make yourself look good. And there are a lot of people involved with childhood cancer advocacy who are just out to make themselves look good because, and I don't want to make light of a delicate situation, but there are people in this particular demographic. They had parents who didn't love them enough or didn't hold them enough, didn't coddle them enough, or whatever the fuck the reason is. They had shitty parents, absentee filers, drug addict mothers, drunk filers, whatever the case may be. They had shitty parents. They didn't have a lot of friends. They were social pariahs. They were outcasts. They were never invited into birthday parties, Christmas parties, sleepovers, anything. They were chosen last. If they were, sometimes they probably weren't even chosen at all. They lived dismal lifestyles. And now with the coming of social media, what we have is an influx of people who pride themselves on being stars. Look at what I did. I paid someone's light bill. I put groceries in someone's house. Look at me. I'm such a fucking champion. And now that Facebook kind of fosters that idea where everybody's a star, it's like, okay, the spotlight's on me. All eyes on me, all focus, all attention on me because I'm the fucking star. I'm the star of the show. Look at me. Pay attention to me. That's what I saw all the time. And that's what you're going to see if you decide to get involved with cancer awareness and advocacy. And I know people are going to watch this and they're going to be so fucking pissed at me. I don't care. And I really don't care. I don't care, because you're all competing with one another. And I have plenty of friends who say, oh, there's no competition going on with advocacy. The fuck if there isn't. The evidence speaks for itself. And you can see that yourself if you're on Facebook. Do I love the people? Yes. Do I love the cause? No. I care more about the people. How many people, and you know who you are, how many people from the childhood cancer world can actually honestly say that they've helped people without ever putting it into a medium where everybody can see it? How many people have actually done it? I bet that number is next to nothing. It's either very little or it's right at zero. When I've helped a lot of people, nobody ever knew about it. I still continue to help people. Nobody knows who I help or how I help them. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Because if you're going to preach dignity and integrity, that's a hell of a fine place to start, by keeping your good deeds a secret. Because the minute you put it, the minute you gloat about it, it looks disingenuous. And now I know why you're doing this, because you need to feel important. You got some insecurity issues going on. You need to be a big shot. You know, not all of us need that. And I'm happy to say that I'm one of those people. I don't need all of the attention. It's just like I have my YouTube channel. Yeah, I like to come on YouTube and I like to talk about things. And I do apologize if the audio and the stream is choppy. I don't know why it does it, but I do like to come on here and I do like to talk, but no one's making you come here. You come here by choice. And the only reason that I'm continuing the Sunday video updates is because I like to give people an idea of how I'm doing, how, you know, I live my daily life. Or the week in review, so to speak, you know, like, oh, I'm doing okay. And I like to give people an idea of how I'm doing, which I'm doing pretty good. You know, I did hit a rough patch. It was earlier last week, about Monday, Tuesday. And I was just sitting in my room thinking, you know, there's something in the air, you know, it's making everybody depressed. It's driving everybody nuts, driving everybody crazy. And I felt it, whatever it was, I felt it. And it's like, man, this sucks. You know, when you're kind of down and out and you don't know why, that's no place I want to be. It's no place anybody wants to be. But I pulled out of it quick. I didn't allow myself to stay in that mental state of mind for so long. I wanted to get out of it. I wanted to shake it off, and I wanted to just get the fuck out of here. I wanted to go visit family, and sure enough, I did. I went and visited my uncle and my cousins. And you know, sometimes that's what it takes. I know we're in the middle of a pandemic and we're being encouraged to not gather with families, and we're encouraged to do a lot and not to do a lot of things. But sometimes it's hard to resist the temptation. It's like, I got to fucking see somebody. I got to talk to somebody, because email and text messages, it's just not always going to come. And yeah, I, you know, when I go in public, I always maintain 6 feet. I always wear my mask. I always follow the rules. But I'm a human being. I'm a social species, and it's hard just to sit home and not see anybody, not have any kind of physical interaction with anybody, not to do fist bumps or elbow bumps or whatever the fuck they're called. It's hard to not have that. You know, people who are social creatures, they need the social life. They need friends to talk to. They need to have interactions. And sometimes, like, if I can't immediately be with a friend, if they live hundreds of miles away or thousands of miles away, emails and text messages will just as much suffice for actually seeing one another in person, which I'm perfectly fine with that. But there just comes a point where it's like, you know, I got to get out of here. I got to see other actual people. So I went up to my uncle's house. Everybody's doing good. The kids were happy to see me. In fact, the youngest one, the baby, ran right up to me and put his arms up and he says, "Pick me up, Jared, pick me up, Jared." So, of course, I picked him up, gave him a hug, and I said, "What's shaking, buddy?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing much." He's only 4 years old. He's a sweet little guy. And I love going up there and spending time with family. It's always nice. But there's so much going on, and I think what's going on with politics and the pandemic and just the absurdities and the obnoxiousness and the craziness of the world is really getting to people. People are coming unglued, and we're seeing this every day. And the closer we get to the 20th, I have this weird feeling or this strange suspicion that it's only going to get worse before it gets better. I hope I'm wrong for the sake of the country and for the sake of our government and for the sake of the state of our country, because we're in some really strange times right now, some really strange times. And I feel bad, that it's come down to this. I wish there was a better solution than resorting to violence and scaring the shit out of people, carrying your guns into government buildings, federal buildings. Because I think in Lansing, they made it to where you're not allowed to take your gun inside the Capitol. But I could be wrong. I'll have to do my research. But I'm pretty sure now that's illegal. I always thought it was illegal, personally. But, evidently it's not, because they did it. And, that was at the last little protest thing they had in Lansing. It was called Operation Gridlock. And I guess what happened was all the other state capitol buildings was picking up. They were picking up on what the people in Michigan were doing, storming the Capitol building. And they thought they were part of a movement. I don't know. I don't get involved with any of that shit. Like, I'm not political. I watch some news basically just to get the weather report. I don't pay attention to politics. I don't pay attention to anything that they, and it's no disrespect to the people who work in media. I have lots of friends who are news reporters, meteorologists, they're disc jockeys. They are just people who work in the media, radio and television locally. And I know lots of people. A lot of people know me. And it's no offense to them. They're just doing their job and they're reporting the news. But at the same time, it's like, I just don't care. I want to know what the weather's tomorrow. I want to know if it's going to rain, snow, sleet, whatever. Is a fucking tornado going to come through and rip Chesaning off the map? I want to know. That's what I watch the news for. But for anything else, to me, it's all just bullshit. I don't pay attention to any of it. Maybe I'm wrong for not watching the news. Maybe I should be more assertive and alert and watch the news and pay attention to what's actually going on. But I don't care. I don't care. I didn't vote. I haven't voted since 2004. I don't get involved with any of that shit. I turned 18 in 2004, and it was actually my neighbor's idea for me to go over to the township hall and vote. To register to vote and to vote. But it's like, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. I just don't care, either way. And I catch a lot of hell for that too. Well, you're registered to vote and you don't vote. Look, I respect a person's right to vote because we live in the United States of America. After all, we have the right to vote. We have the freedom to vote for the candidate that we would like. But at the same time, I'm just afraid that my vote actually will count. And it does sound strange at first, prefacing it that way, but if my vote actually does count and the person I voted for gets into office or they get into power and they fuck everything up worse than what it is, that kind of falls back on me. I'm kind of partly to blame for that because I voted for that particular individual. Now, everybody says, well, not voting is also a vote. Okay, but it's not going to make any difference to me. I'm still not going to the voting booth. It's like you can take the left lane or the right lane, but the destination is the slaughterhouse, no matter which way you look or which way you go. I honestly, I don't get involved. And I know that ticks a lot of people. Oh, Jared, you don't vote. You have no right to complain. Well, here's something to chew on. If you vote, like I said, if you vote and the person you voted for gets in there and fucks everything up, well, you have no right to complain because you got involved. You voted for that person to get in there and fuck shit up. That falls back on you, not on me. I stayed away from the voting booth. I sat home and ate Doritos and watched, Tom and Jerry. I didn't fucking go to the voting booth, I stayed home and I minded my business, because that sometimes minding your business is the best thing you can do. It is the absolute best thing you can do is just to not get involved and say, you people are going to do whatever the fuck you're going to do. You're going to vote for whoever you want to vote for. You're going to say what you got to say. My only thing is leave me out of it. That's it. That's all. Well, Jared, you're part of the problem, not the solution. Okay. All right. But when shit comes crumbling down around you, you're not going to have me to blame for that because I voted for candidate A instead of candidate B or vice versa. You're not going to have me to blame for that. And my dad's philosophy is, well, they put people in there, they put in there whoever they want to be in there. But that I don't know about that. I honestly don't feel that is the case, although it could be. I have no way of proving that to be the case, but we do live in a democracy where voting is participatory, which means that we have a say in who's running shit. But that's what stops me. That's what prevents me from getting involved. And besides, you got what, two choices? There's a Democrat, Republican, and then there's an independent. I don't consider myself any of those. I'm not political. I consider myself a human being above anything else there is. I don't consider myself a member of any, political party, religious party, affiliation, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a part of any of that stuff. I am separate. I am the guy who's sitting over here saying, you motherfuckers are crazy. You're not getting me involved in this shit. Leave me out of it. But they think that is dangerous. Most people think that it's a dangerous choice to not get involved. Well, you can think what you want, but that's kind of where I'm at now. In 10, 15 years from now, I may be in a different place in my mind where I think, you know what, maybe I should get involved. Maybe I should get involved in the 2024 election, Who knows? I don't know. I'm not versed enough in politics to really know what's going on or to understand it or let alone give a shit. So that's why I stay home. That's why I stay out of it. And, Tom and Jerry is a really fucking awesome cartoon. Even at the age of almost 35, I still enjoy watching Tom and Jerry. I bet you guys like watching Tom and Jerry. You like watching Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. Don't fucking lie. You know you do. I know I do. They're cool as fuck. They're funny as fuck. Oh, that's something else too. People take issue with me using the word fuck. And you know what I got to say about that? Fuck you. See, it all works out. Like it just works out for the best, That's what I like about that. It all comes full circle. It all circulates. But yeah, I'm doing great. You notice I'm in a bit of a happy-go-lucky mood this week. That's the way it should be. I like to be in a happy-go-lucky mood. I really and truly like to be in a happy place where I just don't care. And I call people out on their bullshit. That's always fun too. me the silent treatment, it just makes me want to talk more and more. So eventually, you're gonna have to answer me. You're gonna get fed up, or you can block me, but then I'll just come on YouTube and talk about it anyway. So really, you're not blocking me. You're not stopping me from expressing myself, and I'm not gonna quit until you quit. I love it. I love it. I just kind of rubbing my hands together. I love it. Yeah, but I'm doing pretty good. Like I said, I had written a poem just recently. I think it was last week. No, yeah, about a week ago, January 8th. It's called Knife, and I just got around to making the poem video, and it was fun editing. And while I was editing, and I was kind of whispering into the microphone, like this, and I got it to where, like, if you're listening on a computer and you have a speaker on both sides like I do, I can hear. I set it to where one part of it is on the left channel, the other part of my voice is on the right channel. So it sounds like an echo, where I kind of moved it where it's not, I moved the sound waves over, like the bottom sound wave, I moved over slightly. That way it sounds like an echo, like you'll hear it over on the left channel before you hear it on the right channel. It's interesting. I like to do stuff like that because it makes it sound really authentic. And I took pictures of one of our steak knives, and I'm kind of just running my hand over my head like this. And because there's two versions of my poem video called Knife. One of them is like the black and white, where there's film grain and like the film is aged. And there are some images that don't appear in one version, and then in the unedited version, everything appears, and you don't hear the sound effects like and all that stuff. I wanted to add the sound effects just to make it, to give it that authenticity that I wanted to give it. Because you can, like I said, you can get very creative with poetry, and I encourage people to write poetry. For the longest time, I inspired Dad to write a journal. Amy, she still keeps a journal. I don't know if she's written any poetry, but she does write a journal. My mom had written some poetry. My friend of mine in New York, she wrote a poem. A lot of people picked up on it. I inspired a lot of people to pick up an ink pen and start writing. Like I was inspired and encouraged to pick up a camera and start filming police. We can inspire each other positively, but the thing is that helping people, which you should always help somebody in any given situation, helping people doesn't always require a spotlight. These people, like I said, they just have nothing else going. They lived a very shitty life, and now they're exchanging human suffering for popularity, and I think it's disgusting. It's really and truly disgusting. Because when you have people who are in desperate need of help, they are vulnerable. They are willing to attach themselves to anybody who's willing to step in and help. And what happens is those people will start to, they do this idol worshiping bullshit where they praise people because, if it wasn't for him, I would have lost my house. If it wasn't for me. Well, let's not give these people too much credit. If they're running a nonprofit organization, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. They serve the public. That's what a nonprofit organization is. That's what it does. That's its functions. You wouldn't expect it to do anything else. It's a nonprofit organization. Those funds were allocated, or should I say solicited if you're a creep. They were gathered by people who donated. Those nonprofit organizations are not the back pockets of the CEOs. You guys got to get that in your heads here. It is something that serves the needs of the public. Of course, they're going to help you if you qualify for the help, if you meet the requirements. Absolutely. But Yeah, I don't know. Just people, they let it go to their heads and they think they're all that. Oh, I had a book published, and some kid who's a cancer survivor had mentioned my name in a book that she had published. Well, whoop de fucking do. Whoop de fuck. You know what? I had my name published in a local newspaper for a poem I had written back in 2012 regarding the Sandy Hook tragedy. So, I don't think I'm Mr. Hot Shit. And I certainly didn't think I was Mr. Hot Shit back then. When I wrote the poem and had it published in the paper, I didn't think I was all that. I mean, it's not a big deal. Not to me. It was just a poem. I mean, but although I do have to say that seeing my name published with a poem that I'd written, it's a lot better and much more relieving to see my name somewhere other than the obituary section. I gotta give you that. I'm not looking to die anytime soon. I don't know. My big mouth might get me in trouble though. But well, if that's the case, it'll be worth it because I just don't take shit, and I don't let people walk all over me. Even if it makes me look like the world's biggest asshole, then so be it. And I hope more and more people have that feeling. Say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being treated like a fucking afterthought. It ends now. And stand up for yourself. Don't take shit from people. Speak the truth. And just don't let anybody silence you. People have tried and they have failed miserably. I know one guy who tried to shut me up and it didn't work. And now he's encouraging people to don't watch his channel. Don't watch his YouTube channel. Yes, because they're going to listen to you. Because everything you say, oh great one, is the word of the land. And if people don't adhere and worship and genuflect and kiss your sorry loser ass, then, oh, well, that's blasphemy. And how dare you go against me? I'm supposed to rally you to hate Jared Fuller, and you're supposed to say all these horrific things about Jared Fuller. Fuck you. Oh, and happy Sunday. I'm just rambling. I'm just ranting. I don't know. I really have nothing else to talk about. Usually I have a couple of sidekicks out here helping me. I just got my dogs. I got Barkley and Scruffy, but they don't speak English, so I can't get any feedback or input from them. Although I do love my canine friends very, very much. I love my babies. Love them, love them, love them. Yes, I'm talking to you, Barkley. I love you so much. You're such a good boy. And you too, Scruffy. And my cats. I can't forget my cats, Patches and Baby Boy. Gotta love the animals, man. They keep you going. They make life interesting, to say the least. And the thing that really makes me kind of crack up, it used to actually annoy me and make me sick. But now when I watch, because Scruffy and Barkley are both male dogs, and they try to, with each other. And it's like, I don't think that's going to work. You guys are both boys. You're not going to accomplish much of anything, but boy, they are determined. They are set in their mind, like, gotta get this. Well, you guys don't understand that that's not how that works. You guys are the same sex or whatever. You're not going to get pups out of this. You guys are both boys. It's not how that works. But it is funny just to watch them, and I don't know. Dad will get after him and say, knock it off, you stupid fucker, and he'll yell at him and say, get off of him. It's funny as shit. I get a crack out of it. Like I said, though, they do keep things interesting around here. They very much keep things alive and interesting, and it's funny just to sit and watch them. It's hilarious. Let's see how long I've been here. I've been here for about almost 55 minutes. It's going on 4 o'clock. I like to start around 3 o'clock and just kind of talk for a little while and get some things out into the open. I really and truly hope that everybody is doing okay out there, despite the fact that I sound like a jerk in my recordings and my videos, and yeah, maybe perhaps even my poetry. But I really and truly wish the best for all of you watching this. And I know this video can reach way out depending on who shares the video, depending on a lot of different factors, because we're in the day and age of social media. I hope my video gets out to a lot of people. And the thing is that I really and truly care about everybody. It's damn hard sometimes to care about everybody because there's people out there who don't think and feel the same way as you do. And that can be frustrating. Especially when everything I've ever done has always been in the best interest of other people. And I have always been, everything I've ever done has always come straight from the heart. When I would, whenever I would help somebody, directly, or when I get involved, or when I got involved with charity work, when I would, Jesus Christ, when I would go to funerals of kids who've died, that's not a very good sight to see. It's not a pleasant event. It's not a pleasant moment. I've been to funerals of children who've passed, sadly. When Bryson Ricker passed away, I was at his funeral. When Braden Buddy Boy Miller passed away, I was at his funeral. And I went to the cemetery. I still go to the cemetery once in a while to talk to him. It sounds... Amy waved. She's coming out of the bedroom. It does sound weird, but I do go visit Buddy Boy's grave, and I'll just sit and I will talk to him. When Deanie Banavandis passed away, I drove all the way to Columbus, Ohio, in a suburb. It's called Pickerington. I went to the chapel, the funeral home, to say my final goodbyes to Deanie, because he was another kid who really and truly meant a lot to me, and he lives on in my heart, just like Buddy, just like Bryson, just like every other child who passed away as a result of cancer. And yes, even the people who are pissed off at me, parents, advocates, whatever, if your children passed away from cancer, yes, your kids live in my heart too. That's just the way I am. That's the kind of person I am. I feel bad that children are dying as a result of cancer. There's children who've died from Wilms tumor, the kind of cancer I had. And people say, well, that's a more survivable, at least with Wilms, you have a better chance. Yeah, but even still, children have died. That's the point. Children can still die from Wilms tumor, and it has happened. I always wanted the best for everybody. I didn't, I wasn't set out to try to be something big. I wasn't trying to make big waves with advocacy. I wasn't trying to pass myself off as a fucking, A-list celebrity of childhood cancer awareness, because that doesn't exist. It's only for people who feel as if they need to be important somewhere to somebody. Well, the dirty little secret about that is, hey, we're all important to each other. We all have to live according to the actions of each other. I have to live according to Amy's actions, my dad's actions. I have to live according to my actions. We all share space and time together. We are all we have in this life. Well, other than our pets. I mean, we love our dogs and cats, right? We are all we have. Human beings we are the only people we have is each other. Not everything you do in life needs a spotlight. It does not need national fucking attention. It just does not. Okay, Jared, you have a YouTube channel. The world can see your YouTube channel. Yeah, if they choose to come here. I'm not throwing it in everybody's face saying, look at me. I have a YouTube channel. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm not doing any of that shit.
Calling people saying, hey, I got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, besides family or whatever.
Yeah.
But people out there you don't know, you don't walk
Yeah.
up to them. Hey, I got a YouTube channel. Let me, give you all the
Yeah, here's my information. I want you to make me feel like a fucking star and subscribe. Yeah. subscriptions are, personal choice of the people. I don't encourage anybody. I don't tell people to subscribe to my channel. Fuck, I don't even tell people to watch my channel or to look at my videos.
I subscribe, but you don't tell me to watch them.
Yeah. I don't even know who my subscribers are half the fucking time. I got over 200. I got almost 300 subscribers on this channel alone.
I figured it would help you out.
Well, yeah.
You know,
I mean,
viewer-wise. Or subscriber-wise.
I just don't understand people's need to be like number one and everything all the time. It's a very strange, neurotic obsession to want to be the first or the person in everything. I just don't understand the need for it. Now with childhood cancer cracking a cure, I don't see that happening in our life. I don't see that happening. Cures for childhood cancer.
Even with what's going on today with the COVID virus.
I know it's not very promising. I know it's not very enlightening. It's not something that nobody wants to hear. But I'm just being straight with you guys. I don't see a cure for childhood cancer ever in my lifetime. And if there ever does come a day where I watch the news and they say, hey, we found a cure for childhood cancer, I would have to see more evidence. I would have to see more. Because for something like a pandemic, the COVID, that's only been around for almost a year, childhood cancer has been around for fucking centuries. In fact, the name Wilms tumor, which describes nephroblastoma, Wilms tumor, Wilms, the name Wilms, was named after Max Wilms, Maximilian Wilms. He was a German doctor, I think. I'd have to... Come here, Google. I know it has something to do with that anyway. Let me just consult my trusty little fucking phone here. But I know that's what it was. Okay. Toodaloo. Go back, you stupid. Let's see. Wilms, W-I-L-M-S, Wilms tumor. His name is Max Wilms. Okay. So Karl Max Wilhelm Wilms was a German pathologist and surgeon who was a native of Hunshoven, which today is part of the town. I'm going to butcher this name. Galen, I can't say it. It's German. He had diphtheria. That's what killed him. He died in 1918. Max Wilms and his tumor. Dr. Carl. So I said his first name. I said it wrong. And I own up to that. I was incorrect. His name was Dr. Karl Max Wilhelm Wilms. He was born in 1867 and died in 1918. He was born November 5th. The 5th of November, which is a very prominent date for England, actually. Something else to look up. Okay, so now let's look that up. November 5th. 5th, England. Okay. So let's Friday, November 1st, or 1st. Listen to me. Friday, November 5th. Why do the British celebrate November 5th? Guy Fawkes Day, also called Bonfire Night, British observance, celebrated on November 5th, commemorating the failure of the gunpowder plot of 1605. Celebration of Guy Fawkes Day with fireworks and a bonfire in London, England. Description of the gunpowder plot of 1605. I am a fan of the Beatles. I like Beatles music, and John Lennon was a lot of his music and his song lyrics and everything he did during the Beatles and after the Beatles was very inspirational to me. And he had a song called Remember, I think. And at the end of that song, he mentioned the 5th of November, and then you heard you heard an explosion. And then that's how the song ended. So that's why I referenced November 5th, something to do with England, and then I just looked it up. Guy Fawkes Day. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, because I seem to have a tendency of butchering names and mispronouncing a lot of things. But a little history for you. It started off as me looking up information about Max Wilms, but he was a German pathologist. That's what it was. But back to what I was saying about, because I got really fucking sidetracked, what I meant to say about cures for childhood cancer, I don't see it happening, not in my lifetime. And I know that's something nobody wants to hear. And I hope I'm proven wrong. But even if we do find cures for childhood cancer, which I'm hopeful, I'm not going to say that it's not possible. But I would like to see a demonstration that it is, So if in fact we do discover a panacea for childhood cancer across the board, that includes DIPG, because that's the most lethal as far as I can tell. I could be wrong. The person who discovers the cure is going to be a scientist, not an advocate, not someone who, is paying off someone's mortgages or light bills or putting groceries in the house, which is fine. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's the idea that these people they pride themselves too much. They give themselves a little too much credit for something that any person could easily do. They're not doing anything differently than what anybody else could do. They're not, it's not magical or mysterious, or there's no great mystery behind putting groceries in someone's house. You're looking at someone who has put groceries in someone's house. Thank you. But I don't brag about it. So there's just no great mystery to actually helping somebody. It's nice to help people, and it feels great when you help people. When you see other people thrive, like I'm the reason that someone else was thriving, it feels great. But you know what? That feeling should be felt inside. When you start expecting people to just, feather you and bow down to you. Oh, great one. You paid off my electric bill. You put groceries in my house. You paid my mortgage. You bought a car for me. When people expect that as a result of what they do, then you know they're full of shit. And I call it out. And you should ask questions. And people always say to me, well, Jared, does it matter if they're bragging or getting their kudos because the people are still being helped? Well, it does matter. It fucking matters tremendously, because if they're doing it just for the praise, then that means that they're not being truly genuine about what they do to help people. They are competing with other people. And that's a +1. That's a feather in their cap, because they are competing with other people, and they are using people. It's like a supply, right? They are using people to make themselves look good, to foster this image on Facebook, because everybody on Facebook can foster a fucking image. You can go on Facebook dressed like the Queen of England. You can go on Facebook acting like you're King Tut, that you're so perfect and ethereal and copacetic and you never do anything wrong. But away from Facebook, away from all that window dressing and all that other stupid, hideous bullshit, we know who you are. And most of these people have demonstrated just how lousy they are in real life. And I'll say it until the fucking cows come home, that you're not better than anybody. I never claim to be better than anybody, because I know I'm not better than anybody. I'm just like you. I'm just like any other person out there. I'm doing the best I can to not only take care of myself, but to make sure that the people around me are taken care of, to make sure that my actions in the world have a positive impact. I don't need to come back to YouTube, or I don't have Facebook anymore, but I don't need to resort back to the fake world, to the virtual reality, and say, +1 for me because I'm such a fucking savior in the real world that, people should be genuflecting at my feet and bowing down and kissing my ass. That's not who I am. Check out the childhood cancer world. You're going to see a lot of people like that. They think that they are owed everything. They think they are the shit. And I'm here to say today, no, you're not. You're far from it. I'm not saying you're wrong for helping people, but you're just a human being like we are. You put your pants on the same way. That's why I'm not someone who idolizes like actors or anything like that. I'm not an idol worshiper. I don't easily get starstruck when I see someone who's, well known in the world. I've met some famous people in my life. I've met Corey Fogelmanis. I've met Ava and Kennedy Anthony. I've met all kinds of people. I met what's her name? I can't remember, from Belle and the Bulldogs. I met her in real life. I met a lot of people. I met Karan Brar. I've met just so many people I've met in my life, famous people. And I don't think of them any differently, honestly. I just don't. I mean, I went to a Power Veer and the Raiders concert up here in Chesaning, the musical group from back in the 60s. And the Contours opened for Power Veer and the Raiders. And my dad met the guys backstage and he shook their hand, and I didn't shake any of their hands, but I saw them backstage and they're really nice guys. I wasn't starstruck. I just didn't feel that. I don't have that feeling come over me. If I met Bruce Willis, I wouldn't feel starstruck, not in the least, because at the end of the day, they're just people. They're just people who are either musicians or they're actors. They're on television. They're in the movies. I don't get so easily starstruck. I've seen wrestlers in real life. When WWE came to Saginaw, as a matter of fact, when WCW was still on television, I went to a taping of Thunder, which was a Thursday night wrestling event. I saw Diamond Dallas Page, Sid Vicious, all the guys from WCW. They were in Saginaw. I mean, Monday Nitro used to come to Saginaw back in the 90s, when WCW was big and they were having the Monday Night Wars between, Nitro, and WWF had Raw, or, the War Zone, or Raw's War, or whatever they called it, the Attitude Era, which I miss, by the way. That we had that going on, and it was a great time to be a wrestling fan because you had, WCW, which had Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, the NWO, and Eric Bischoff. And then over on Raw, you had Stone Cold, the Generation X, the Road Dogg Jesse James, and the New Age Outlaws is what they were called. And you had all these different, they were like back and forth. You could switch between TBS or TNT because Nitro would come on TNT, and Raw, I think, was on USA even then. So we had two different channels, two different wrestling factions, and two different, companies or whatever. It was an awesome time to be alive, to be a wrestler, or to be a wrestling fan, rather. And I am entirely getting off track of what I'm going to say, but I have seen famous people in real life. I have met famous people, and I don't get that feeling of, oh my God, I'm starstruck. I don't feel that, because at the end of the day, they're just people like me and you. I'm sure, they put their pants on one leg at a time. They eat and breathe and shit and piss and puke and fart and burp all the same as we do. They're no different. They're not superhuman. They're just well known. And, I will say, though, I want to make this very known, though. I have a buddy who is fighting Wilms tumor, not putting a name out there because it's not important, but he's got Wilms tumor. He's fighting it, and he's also got COVID on top of it. He got to meet John Cena, which I thought was really fucking cool. When John Cena came to his house, oh my God, oh my God, that kid. I had never seen a smile so bright in my whole life. And it was just an amazing time for him. Now that's different because John Cena actually grants wishes of children who are sick. So I give him props for that. He's famous. He's actually a celebrity. John Cena is. So that's different. These people are well known to the world. Everybody knows John Cena, and the kids love John Cena. And I thought it was really fucking cool. John Cena goes to see the kids, and it's an amazing thing he does. And I have mad love and respect for John Cena for doing that for the kids. But he's John Cena. He's not just someone in the childhood cancer world who has a nonprofit organization. You know, you're not famous. You're not A-list celebrity, anything. You're just an advocate. That's not, and what you get in the childhood cancer world too is you have advocates praising other advocates, putting them on pedestals. Oh, joining us today on this edition of the Whatever podcast is advocate or activist X. Well, big fucking hairy whoop. So he's a parent of a child who fought cancer. I'm a childhood cancer survivor. I'm not better than anybody, and I don't claim to be. I never claim to be better than anybody, and I don't claim moral superiority over anybody because I gave somebody money. I gave a family a little bit of money to help them. That's just what we're supposed to do. As human beings, we're supposed to fucking help each other. It's not hard to understand, I'm not going to treat these people like they're something special because of what they do. They run in races and they, so what? So what? It doesn't change anything in terms of science. My real heroes, other than the kids, the kids are fighting, my heroes are the people like my oncologists who help, save my life. But my heroes are also the oncologists and the scientists who are in the labs night and day around the fucking clock trying to find out what's going on. They're going to be the ones to find the cures. And the thing that people, the thing is that people tell me is, well, you got to raise awareness because when people are aware, they're going to, more money is allocated to research. But we put the person who researched and cracked the code, we put them in the spotlight because they are the ones who figured it out. Not us. They did. That's what they get paid for. There's a big difference, And you got to understand and recognize and distinguish the difference between, it's a mess. It's a joke. And, relinquishing my advocacy efforts was not me turning my back on the children, because I would never turn my back on a child. Never. I would never turn my back on anybody. I stopped advocating for cures because I see the direction that advocacy has taken. It's not a direction that I would want to take it, and I don't think it's an appropriate direction to take because there are too many people who are doing this for themselves. They are doing this to look good. And there are far too many people who see nothing wrong with people, advocates, using their children to make themselves look good. They're fostering and perpetuating this idea that it's okay to use children as a pawn in your little pissing match just because you want to be the first, you want to be the top dog, you want to have full control of everything. Get a fucking life. Not all of us are out there to, look good or to try to be a big name. And I've said this, I don't know how many times in my Daily Rant recordings that, everything I've ever done as a survivor of childhood cancer, I've always done it for the people. And a lot of these parents get ticked off because I speak the truth when I say, you know what? I think you're just upset because I have more of a connection to your child's situation than even you do as the parent. Because what your kid is going through, I've been through. And you don't like it because someone who's also an adult can directly relate to your child's situation. You don't like that. So what do? You duck and dodge and hem and haw about, oh, well, I don't know if Jared's a good advocate. Well, I think Jared is dangerous. Oh, I think Jared is this. I think Jared is that. I don't give a fuck what you think. And I really don't. Because if you're just mad, if you're upset at the fact that I have more of a relevance to your child than even you do as a parent, I don't know what to tell you. You know, you would have better relevance with my parents who are still alive, and you could have those conversations with my parents. What did you experience with Jared? You know, what did you have to go through with Jared Bear? You know, what's up with that? Could you tell me what I should expect? You know, when I was sick, we didn't have Facebook. In 1989, we had a different kind of technology, but we didn't have Facebook. We were far removed from Facebook. We didn't have what we have now. We didn't have smartphones back then. And the support that we had was very, it was small. It was a very small support system. Now with social media, you can have a support system that's global. But when I was sick, and yes, I understand the times have changed. I understand that. But I come from a different time, you know, in terms of when you're sick in the hospital. I come from a different time. And when you help people, you don't need praise for it. You don't need to be on the fucking news because you ran a race, because you pedaled a bicycle from one end of the country to the next. You don't need the fucking praise. Just do what you got to do to raise money for your nonprofit organization and call it a day. Why do you think you need to be in the spotlight? You know, people were bitching. They were bitching at me about this. Well, Jared, you just want to hog the spotlight and you just want to be the constant center of everybody's attention. No. But my story has its place in history. Where your child is or was is exactly the same place I was. Whether you like it or not, I have more of a relevance to your child's situation in terms of perception than you do. Because you're the parent, which, by the way, I'm not saying you're not affected by it, because you are affected by it. No one's dismissing or denouncing that. What I'm saying is that you're the parent sitting at bedside, and there's nothing you can do but watch on and hope that your child is going to be okay. My mom and dad, I tell them that all the time. I said, I'm not dismissing your feelings. I'm not saying that you didn't have a stake in this. I mean, you're my mom and dad. You were there with me from beginning to end, front to back. You were there. But at the end of the day, I was the one who was the patient. I was the one getting the chemo and the radiation. I felt it directly. You know, when we get down to brass tacks of you know, technicality in terms of I was the patient and you were just, you know, mom and dad were sitting there. That's what I'm referring to. But collectively as a family, yes, everybody is involved. But there's people who they don't accept that very enthusiastically. And on that note, I don't know what to fucking tell you. Nobody asks to be in positions where they're being forced to make choices that they never thought they'd have to make. Childhood cancer or not. My parents had to make some very difficult decisions when I was sick. And I was a very sick little boy. Very sick. And it's, you know, when to be a parent and to be backed into that kind of a situation, it's never easy. Because your mind is all different directions. It's scattered everywhere. My parents didn't even give a thought about, well, I want to be on camera. I want to look good. I want to use my kid's illness to make myself look like some fucking whatever. My parents were more concerned about making me better to get the cancer out of me. That was their only number one concern, was me. And when I became an advocate in 2013, my only concern were the kids, helping people. Because to tell you the truth, if I really and truly wanted to make myself famous, there are plenty of other avenues I could take to make myself famous. If it was really that big of a thing for me, if it really mattered that much to me to be famous or popular or whatever the case may be, I would have done something entirely fucking different. I would have taken up music lessons. I would have taken acting classes. I would have done something else to make myself notable to people, to be celebrated. That's what celebrity is, to be celebrated. Children dying is not something we should celebrate. Children who are sick and fear for their lives every fucking day is not something we should celebrate. You want to have your little raunchy ass Care Fest events in DC, that's your waste of time. Nothing changes. It's going to be the same tomorrow. It's going to be the same every fucking September. It's going to be the same. And that's just the way it is. You're going to wake up on October 1st, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Children are still going to be sick. They're still going to be suffering. They're still going to be dying, unfortunately. And the parents are still going to be stuck in a position that they did not sign up for. Meanwhile, you're out there showboating, using people's kids as a meal ticket for your popularity. Oh, well, this, let's make big waves and let's say that I did it. Fuck you. You don't get to do that. If you're going to help people and mean it, then do it. Leave your fucking ego at the door, help people, and then go about your life. Like I said, there's things I've done that nobody knows about to help people. And I'm not going to disclose names. I'm not going to disclose information here because it's nobody's fucking business. That's why when I help people, I tell them specifically, I don't want recognition on social media. And if you really and truly want to pay me back, you do so by helping somebody else. That's how you pay me back. That's how you keep it going. I don't expect any direct repayment. But if you feel really inclined to pay me back, you will do so by helping another. And that's the way it should be. And thus endeth the rant. Guys, I have been here for a very long time. Wow, I've been here for almost an hour and a half. It's been a good talk. I've been enjoying myself immensely. Yeah, it's almost 4:30. So first of all, before I go, I want to thank you all again for joining me on the Sunday video update. And I do, once again, I apologize if the audio is choppy, if it's coming in and out. It's got to be my internet connection. It's got poor bandwidth or whatever you want to call it. But I was just seeing if it was dark outside. It's not dark yet. I might go to Lansing, just buzz down by there and check it out and see what's going on. I'll have my GoPro camera with me. I'll have my cell phone with me. But really, guys, just take it easy out there and just go easy on yourself and make sure that your family's taken care of. You do exactly what you have to do to make sure your family is well taken care of. They have everything they need. You have a right to express your opinions about anything or anybody, but let's not resort to violence. Let's do things in a non-violent way. I'm not a violent person at all. I have no violent tendencies in my body whatsoever. I don't like to hurt people. I don't get pleasure or fulfillment out of making other people feel lousy. That's those people. And yes, in the childhood cancer world, yes. That's those people. That's not me. I am way different from those people. I have nothing to do with any of them. I'm happily detached from those people, and I will remain happily detached. And if I ever one day decide to get back into the groove of things, in terms of childhood cancer awareness, I'll do it on my own accord, and I'm going to do things my way like I always have. But I don't see it happening. I'm enjoying life, not, having all my free time taken up, feeling like a bad salesman with a shitty sales pitch, another day, another Facebook post in September, another day, and it's like another day at the office, business as usual. And that's what I got fed up. I resented that. And it's like, I'm talking to a fucking wall here. Nobody's going to listen to me, but some people do listen. And, I think that was the point, just to get people to listen. But while you're listening to me, just take care of yourselves, take care of each other, stay healthy, continue to follow the COVID-19 guidelines, and please, 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 I beg of you, treat each other nicely. Just be good to each other. Help each other. We are the only people we have. We don't get through the day without supporting one another in some way. We got to be there for one another. And the hatred in the world has got to stop. It just has to. There's too much of it. So I'm going to end this Sunday video on that note. I thank you all for joining me. My name is Jared Fuller, aka the Jer Bear. I will see you next Sunday, which is, if my math was correct, the 24th. So I'll be here to rant and rave and ramble some more about things. So until next time, guys, I will see you later. Have a wonderful week, and happy 99th birthday to the one and only Golden Girl, Betty White. Much love. Toodaloo.